Looking forward to lifelong learning. The next 15 minutes will be a rare moment in your life, a time that you won't ever have again. You're about to get something that will give you an advantage over everyone else. It's the secret to lifelong learning. For the high school students in the audience, these years are an amazing time of your life. You're learning new things every day, meeting new people, and seeing the world through maturing eyes. While you do already know a lot, the secret I'm about to divulge is one that I wish I had known when I was in high school. To be a student of life is to learn in school, of course, and yet to continue learning into adulthood. Can this really be achieved? I can tell you I've done it, although I'm still on my journey with a long way to go. You can realize this aspiration too, whether as a student in high school or as an adult at home or in the working world. Lifelong learning takes three important elements: relationships, connections, and your legacy, as guided by your discovered passion. The pursuit of lifelong learning can be instilled at an early age, or its method can be slowly revealed over years of life events. If you want to become a lifelong learner, you'll have to make a choice. Either take it on now at this stage of your life and begin reaping all of its benefits, or meander through life, gaining experiences along the way, and then look back to connect all the dots. I did the latter, but I'm going to offer you my life's roadmap so you can do the former and jumpstart your journey to lifelong learning. Looking back on my life, each decade was marked by notable aha moments that I wish I could have seen as signposts to help me navigate the world. At the time, I experienced them merely as distinctive events. Now, looking back, I see them more holistically as trail markers that shaped my path in life to become who I am today. Allow me to share some of these notable moments with you. In my 20s, people would tell me that I have my whole life ahead of me. Well, isn't that obvious? I would say to myself. Little did I understand at the time exactly what those words "whole life ahead" really meant, or what they should have meant, as in big opportunities lay before me. Some might say an overseas voyage would qualify as such. That's actually what I did in my early 20s. I went on a 6-week summer trip to China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan with a few hundred others just like me. That is, young, college-aged, American-born Chinese kids. Together overseas, we studied Chinese culture, language, and history. Plus, we were treated as VIPs with police escorts to block traffic as we toured so many fabulous sites in a motorcade of sleek chartered buses. The breathtaking locations, by the way, were all Instagram worthy. But we, of course, did not have Instagram, or mobile phones, or even the internet back then. Instead, we captured memories on cameras with film inside that had to be sent off to be developed into photographs. In hindsight, looking back on paper photos of those memories, the big trip or the interesting sights themselves were not the opportunity that lay before me. Instead, it was the relationships I had with others on that extraordinary trip, and what I learned about myself through interacting with them. The opportunity I had missed was what I should have learned about myself by pausing and reflecting on the great relationships I had, as well as the ones that didn't quite work out. I should have pondered questions such as, how can I relate better to others? And how am I being perceived by others? And how does that perception compare with who I really am? That missed opportunity was a lesson in life. I did not come away from my 20s with what I now know today is a crucial element to lifelong learning. Instead, I accumulated all kinds of experiences, but I did not discover my passion, at least not yet. The life lesson: relish relationships, especially the ones that bring out the best in you. Discover what the best you is by listening and learning through others. These are the people who can encourage you, who can teach you things about yourself. They could very well look you up in the future and then reach out to you someday for a new opportunity. So leave a trail of memorable moment breadcrumbs for them to find you again. My 30s were focused on trailblazing a career. I was determined to put my own stamp on the professional world. I followed the mantra that was hammered into me since I was a little boy, growing up in a household where academics was of paramount importance. Get good grades in school so I can get into a good college. Get good grades in college so I can get a good job. Do well in my job so I can make a good living. I did indeed graduate from an outstanding college at the University of Chicago. My grades, on the other hand, maybe not so good. But that didn't stop me that decade from steadily progressing in my career and taking on jobs of increasing scope and responsibility. It all led up to a massive corporate acquisition, with my employer being on the wrong end of the transaction. That decade ended with me being laid off after working at my company for 14 years. That was on the very day that my wife, who was also laid off by the same company, was pregnant with our first child. So there we were, living in a brand new house we had just purchased together, expecting our first child later that year, both of us suddenly unemployed. My next steps should have been easy and straightforward. Get on LinkedIn, find another job. Except just one minor detail. LinkedIn had not been invented yet. Eventually, I did land a dream job, leading a fine IT organization at a major pharmaceutical company in a neighboring state. That opportunity came about through an executive of that company I met at a business conference the year before. It was a connection I made with him during an informal chat, a brief interaction that must have left a good impression. That connection led to his personal referral to a highly respected executive who would eventually interview and then hire me. To this day, he remains a trusted mentor to me. Little did I know at that time, but that job would open the door to overcoming barriers, to unlocking potential, and ultimately discovering my own passion. It was a connection I made with him during an informal chat, a brief interaction that must have made a good impression. That connection led to his personal referral to another highly respected executive who would eventually interview and then hire me. To this day, he remains a trusted mentor to me. Little did I know at that time, but that job would open the door to overcoming barriers, unlocking potential, and ultimately discovering my own passion. So the life lesson: cultivate connections, making every one of them count. What motivates another person to help you down the road? It's when you show up with your passion, even unknowingly. Every encounter with a new connection defines who you are and could very well redefine your next opportunity to learn and grow. While in my 40s, my wife and I raised our 3 children through the first decade of their lives. We lived in an upscale neighborhood, fraught with keeping up with the Joneses, a tiresome trend which I consciously bucked. The problem was, though, I could not find my voice to stand up for what I believed in. I never felt like I was heard, ever. It was as if nobody cared to listen. Little did I know at the time, and also while I was growing up, by the way, the issue wasn't really with other people. Remember that dream job I just mentioned? It was a dream because it was through that job at that company, while still in my 40s, that I was able to join a program that would absolutely transform my life and completely reframe how I see the world. Enter Consulting Pairs, a 13-day full immersion diversity training and development program at my workplace that spanned over 3 months. I learned about the value of diversity, as well as the missed opportunities that could result from a lack of inclusion. I learned to celebrate people's differences as a means to resolve conflicts. I learned how to relate better to others. Finally, I came to grips with growing up as a minority. I understood what my father must have endured living in this country as an Asian immigrant in the 1950s and starting a family in a land so foreign to him. Slowly, my childhood episodes of bullying and racial injustice I had endured while growing up, despite being born and raised in this country, all started to make sense. Then I began to find my own voice. I found myself speaking up at times when a younger version of me would have kept my mouth shut. How was it that this soft-spoken, introverted Asian guy was able to emerge from his shell? Well, it was a matter of looking forward in life, far ahead. I began to ponder my own legacy. I remembered what I wanted to be when I was young, and how that view gradually evolved from what I wanted to be to how I wanted to be. I asked myself, when do I want that to happen? Will I wait until it's too late to achieve what I know I'm capable of? I've always been optimistic in life, full of hope, believing I was destined for great things. But maybe it wasn't exactly me that was destined. Perhaps it was what follows me. The life lesson: leave a legacy of significance by being true to yourself in all of your interactions. Be conscious of when your internal energy is amplified, as well as how it gets drained. That's your own directional compass, revealing paths for you to follow. Among one of those paths, you will feel more alive to this human world, and you could very well discover your own passion. Your energy will naturally wax and wane in phases based on surroundings, but it's your passion that will be unwavering. That's the hallmark of your legacy. Your passion not only fuels your own endeavors, but it also helps to build others up. Show up with your passion as the real you, and people will remember you. Now, I'm in the 5th decade of my life. I've relished my relationships in my 20s, albeit retrospectively, cultivated my connections in my 30s, and validated my voice amidst pondering my legacy in my 40s. In your own life, you will also have, or perhaps already had, some defining moments that stand out from the rest. Whenever that happens next, pause in that moment. Reflect. Don't reach out for your phone right away to snap a pic and post it on social media. Be mindful and present in that very moment, for that moment of yours is a trail marker for your life ahead. Your life will be full of experiences. Be alert to the ones that inspire you, which could very well be the key to unlocking your passion and unleashing your potential. Always be open to new experiences every step of the way. After all, I found my voice without even knowing how to look for it. As for my own discovered passion, It's taking lifelong learnings and passing it along to others. I love helping people grow and develop, especially my own 3 kids. Over the years, I've received special letters handwritten from each one of them, describing how I had helped them become the wonderful people they are today, and how very grateful they are for what they've learned from me. I've saved all those letters, and I take them out when I run into arduous times of my own. It reminds me that I'm not alone. We all face tough challenges in our lives, every one of us. How my children overcome their challenges teaches me how to overcome my own. Imagine that. That realization was a humbling moment for me. Then my own legacy of significance emerged. I'm not here on this earth to see how important I can become. I want to see how much of a difference I can make in the lives of others. Beyond my own family, it warms my heart to see people become better versions of themselves after adopting pearls of wisdom that I shared with them. And when I see them pass their wisdom on to others, it inspires me to do more. Even if it means stepping way outside of my comfort zone, like standing before you today. I'm living my passion right now, helping you to flourish, to pursue lifelong learning by looking ahead, following your own internal compass, and being a student of life. I am encouraging you to find your way through life by cultivating your academic and personal and professional connections, and by relishing those personal relationships that you find most meaningful. They are your waypoints, revealing paths that you could take in life. Along the way on your journey, be true to yourself. Always show up with passion and model the legacy you wish to leave behind. If we all do that, we will create a community of encouragement where everyone is valued and where everyone can be lifelong learners. Thank you.